Hey guys, Tommy with Elevation every weekend. Thanks for stopping back by to the channel. In today's video, we're going to do a real quick review of a product. We're going to take a look at the BomberStrap. It's a tailgate mount, bike mount system. The one I have here is the olive drab Mega Bomber. I paid about $128 for this, which was discounted. It listed about $160. So we're going to go over the product right now and give you an overview of how it works. So real quick, before we get into specifics, I just want to show you what the product is. It is literally just this strap. There's like a foam pad in there. It's about an inch thick. And essentially, I'll cut in some B-roll so you can see it in action. But it mounts on the tailgate basically like this and secures around the tailgate. It also comes with a strap to secure your handlebar to the frame. And the only other thing it came with was this instruction card. The instructions on the card and on their website, they have a couple real short videos too, and I'll link that down below. The instructions are pretty sparse, but it's pretty easy to figure out even if you didn't have any instructions. But it did, even watching the videos and looking at the card, it took me a couple trial and error attempts to make sure I had it secured properly and got it set up the way it needed to be. So this product is doing things that people have been doing for years, either homebrew versions where you use like a blanket and some bungee cords, or there's certainly been bed mount mats that have been around forever, sold by other companies. So the question would be, why would I choose this over those options? And then the other aspect is, if you've watched my channel at all, you know that I do have a Yakima biker bar, which is what I typically use to transport my bikes in the bed of my pickup. I'm real happy with that system. So why would I choose to add this into the mix? And the reason why, there's a few reasons. So one reason is, 2 of my 3 fat bikes work well with that biker bar, but one of them does not, my Surly Pugsley. It uses quick release, and it does not have through axles, which work best on that other system. And it, being a fat bike, is a much wider standard than what is typically a quick release standard size bike. Therefore, the Pugsley does not really work on that system. So having this gives me an option to, instead of just kind of wedging the bike in the back of my bed, which I typically do, it gives me a better, more secure, more ergonomically effective way to transport the Pugsley. So that's one reason. The other factor about to come into play, and you'll be seeing more on the channel in the future, is I am going to be mounting a rooftop tent in a rack to the back of my truck. And when I have that on there, I won't be able to use the biker bar to transport my bikes. So I need a way to still transport my fat bikes for whatever adventures I'm getting into when I have the rooftop tent mounted on the back of the bed. So this meets that criteria as well. And then the third reason is, I just like, because of the minimalist design of this product, I can keep it in the truck at all times. So if anything ever transpires where I need to transport a second bike or something like that, I can always have something there to do that safely and effectively. I guess as an addendum, the other concern I have using my biker bar is for off-roading and things like washboard and that types of driving. I do have concerns that having the bike mounted with that system could potentially add stress to the bike and not be, in the long term, good for the bike. When you're on washboard and whatnot, it's that dynamic vibration that, I have concerns about as far as having that transmitted to the bike. I think this does a better job in that scenario. So all that said, you might ask, well, why don't you just use one of the more traditional styles of the tailgate mats that have been out there for years and are more cost effective, and you can, mount more bikes with one of those. And one of the main reasons is just the aesthetics. I just don't like the way they look. I never have, which is why I never went with one in the first place. This, I actually do like the way it looks. It's a minimalist in design. Like I said, I can keep it in the truck all the time because it's so small. So that's another huge benefit. And when this is on the truck, it's easy on and off. If I leave it on, aesthetically it's still pleasing to me, and if I don't want it on, I can easily take it off in just literally seconds. So those are the reasons why I went with this, even though it only does mount one bike. The other problem with those big mats is, when they're on your tailgate, they're kind of cumbersome, and most people I see will leave them on long term because it's not really something you want to be taking on and off. and even trying to store it in the cab of the truck or anything like that. So that's another huge benefit to this, is easy on, easy off, easy to store. It's another factor in why I was attracted to this version of that concept. So just to talk about the design real quick. They do use what they call ballistic nylon. I don't know if that's a marketing term or if that actually means something, but it does seem to be really well made and durable. They use what they call closed cell foam. So they claim that over time, having your bike mounted, and I'm mounting mostly fat bikes, which are heavier bikes. They say that it will resist compacting down and will maintain its form. So we'll test that long term, but so far so good. I have used it multiple times already on my shorter trips locally, and so far so good. So it does seem really well constructed. Uses Velcro straps for securing the bike, and I'll be cutting in some video so you can see it in action. It seems like it's really secure and really well made. So basically the installation is you just open the bed at about a 30 to 45 degree angle, and this section of the strap is rigid, and you use that to kind of slide it under the tailgate, and then you pull the strap through, and then you just kind of position it wherever you want on the tailgate, and then you just work the strap through the aluminum. It's a spring-loaded mount. So you just work it through, cinch it down, and when you have the strap in there and you push this down, it actually really locks it in. So far in the driving I've done with the bike secured, it has stayed really secure. I've done some highway type speeds, and I'll again cut in some video so you can see it in action with my 35-pound Surly ice cream truck. So I definitely used a heavy bike, but it seems really, when you cinch that strap down, it seems to be rock solid. It doesn't seem that, I haven't had it come loose at all, even with the bike on there. I've done some highway speeds on pavement. One of the areas I typically ride has some dirt road with some potholes and some washboard, and I kind of bombed down that section. I actually went a little faster than I normally would down that section, just to kind of really put it to the test with the bike mounted, and it did really well. I hit a couple real big potholes toward the end, and the bike kind of got a little bit off kilter. But actually what that was a result of, it was not this end of things. When I got out and checked it, this was still rock solid. It was just the factor of the bike, the rear wheel kind of bounced in the bed, and when it got out of line, it had a little lean to it. One thing you do have to do, and they don't really talk about this, is you do have to secure the back wheel. So I use rubber bungee straps and the tie downs in the bed of the truck, and I put a good amount of tension on them, and that kind of locks the rear wheel in place. So I think that's an essential thing that you're going to want to do to really secure the bike and keep it secure. But that's not a fault of the product itself, because even with my other bike rack, my Yakima biker bar, I do the exact same thing with that. It suffers from the same issue as far as if you're doing any kind of bumpy road or potholes or washboard. If you don't secure the rear wheels, especially with fat bikes, which have a little more volume, a little more bounce, the bike will bounce around in the bed of the truck. So I highly encourage you to consider doing that if you're going to do any of these tailgate mount products. But this is so that's not a detriment. This is no different than any of the others. So just to recap, I've done multiple short trips with it. I do need to do some longer trips with it. Certainly want to test it out long term. Certainly want to test it on some much longer trips, especially with off-roading and the tent and everything, and see how it fares. But thus far, the pros are it seems well constructed. I like the aesthetics of the product. I like the minimalist design of the product. It works with all my bikes, which is a huge benefit as well. So I'm pretty optimistic that it'll be a good long-term product. About the only con I can think of is the price. So again, it lists at $160. I paid $128. You can get the full tailgate mats, pretty cheap, pretty competitively priced to that, and you can you usually do multiple bikes with those. For me personally, value and cheap are not the same thing, and I think this is a fair value in that it's a small company, it's a USA made product, so if you value that, it's something to consider. For all the reasons I mentioned, this product was attractive to me where some of those other products were not, so to me it's a good value thus far, and I'm optimistic that it's going to stand the test of time and be a good option for me on transporting my bikes, especially on those longer off-road, overlandy type adventures where I have the tent on the back of the truck. So I will link their website down below. They have 4 or 5 variations color-wise. They have a couple other options. They have some merchandise, so definitely check out their website if you're interested. So I'm going to be testing this product and actually using it long-term. If anything transpires, I will certainly do a follow-up video. If I don't do a follow-up, that means that it's working as intended and there's no issues with it. If you have any questions or comments for me, please drop those down below. I do respond to all my comments. And if you're enjoying the videos I've been bringing you, please subscribe and please drop a like down below. It really does help out the channel. So thanks a lot and have a great day.